Let A be the set containing 2, 3, and 5, and B be the set containing x and y. Let P1 and P2 be the projections of A cross B onto the first and second coordinates. That is, for each pair A, comma B that's in the cross product A cross B, P of 1 of A, comma B is just A, and P2 of A, comma B is just B. Now, let me just clarify what's really going on here. This is the rule of the function. Now, we're not quite used to this yet because we haven't really seen inputs that have multiple pieces to it. But with this function, the inputs themselves are ordered pairs. But the output, at least for P1, is just one value. So the input is an ordered pair, which is parentheses with two elements separated by a comma, and the output is just the first coordinate. For P2, if you notice, the output is just whatever the second coordinate is by itself. So the inputs are ordered pairs, the outputs are just the elements of the ordered pairs. So let's practice this with part A. Find P1 of 2, comma y. Now the rule of P1 tells us that the output of this function is the same as the first coordinate. So even though the first coordinate here isn't specifically the letter A, the output corresponding to this input 2, comma y will be just the first coordinate, even though it's not an A. So the rule is really a formula for how we find the output. The way we find the output according to this rule is we just take the first coordinate and that's it. Next, let's find P1 of 5, comma x. Again, P1 just takes the ordered pair and outputs the first coordinate by itself, which is just 5. The next question is, what is the range of P1? Now, the range of P1 is a set, and it's the set of all outputs of this function. Now, the possible outputs of this function are only determined by the first coordinate. The second coordinate does not determine the output in any way. And so we have to think about what kind of elements can we get in the first coordinate? Well, those are elements specifically from just A. So the outputs of P1 correspond to the elements of A, 2, 3, and 5. Those are the only possible outputs of P1. Part B is very similar to part A. P2 of 2, comma y is just the second coordinate by itself. And similarly, P2 of 5, comma x is just x by itself. The range of this function is the set of all outputs of this function, which is different from the previous function. In this case, the outputs that we're getting are elements of B, which is x and y. And that's the answer to this question. Thanks, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.